So, hey, besties and bosses, happy Friday. We've got Instagram Live as well with us, so I want to jump right in. So, I'm going to talk all about Facebook and some of, I think, the Facebook freakouts maybe a few of us are having, and just offer some different perspectives that I'm having and some lessons and reminders that these changes have given me. So, hopefully, this will be helpful for you. So, backstory for those of you who aren't exactly sure what's going on, I'll share first personally what happened with me. About 3 months ago, my Facebook ads account got shut down. Yes, true story. So I very blindly hit the boost button on one of my actual Instagram posts, thinking I'd test this out, see what the boost was all about. This is a topic for another time. That is not the way I think any of us should really be running ads, but I was tempted by the boost button, spent a few bucks to boost a post, and because I wasn't following the guidelines, because I wasn't playing by the rules and I really didn't do it properly, something in my post flagged my account and my Facebook ads account got deactivated. So 20 plus emails to Facebook only resulted in about the same amount of responses, bot responses coming back from Facebook. So my Facebook account is dead. Now, I don't currently invest a whole lot in Facebook ad spend to grow my business, but it is something I definitely want to be able to in the future. I think ads in any capacity are a really smart and great way for all of us to be able to grow and scale our businesses. So needless to say, I wasn't super thrilled about this. I pitched a little bit of a fit, and I had to check myself, because some of you may know a few months ago, I shared a post all around our attitude towards social media. And I'm a big believer that social media is a tool, and it's a really helpful, beautiful tool that allows many of us to connect and reach people we would have never had the opportunity to 20 years ago. But I believe it's a tool, and it's all in how we use it and how we look at it, like so many things in life that make it good or bad. And so here I was, pitching a fit about something that really had nothing to do with the platform and everything to do with me, my actions, and really how I was using the platform. So to take a little bit of my own medicine, and I had to check myself. Fast forward to very recently, and hey, everyone who's just joined, fast forward to recently, and Mark Zuckerberg put out an announcement with some of the changes that he's going to be making or has already implemented in Facebook. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, there is a link linked to his post in my blog. But essentially, Zuckerberg said that he's making changes to Facebook. Studies have shown it's not great for us to be on social media the way it is, and he wants to increase the real human connection we have. And so he is going to be decreasing the amount of time we see businesses and brands, and he's going to be increasing the amount of posts we see from friends and family. And he went on to say a couple other things. And holy moly, did that freak a whole bunch of people out. And I get it. I do not discount anyone's emotions, especially if you are using Facebook primarily for your business and to grow your business. So I'm not discounting the freak out. But since I had already had my own freak out and had to check myself a little bit, I was able to take a step back and look at the situation. I think maybe not as emotionally attached. And since I've had a little time to sit with it, I've pulled a few actual lessons and reminders, and maybe ways that we can all look at this a little bit differently that I want to share with you. Because the truth is, like it or not, however we feel about it, we can't control this. These changes are happening. Facebook is rolling out these changes. We can bitch and complain and moan and be pissy about it, and that's not going to do anything. Or we can take a look at it, see what we can learn from this, see how we can adapt, see how we can embrace this, and we can go with the flow and see how we can actually maybe use this to help us out in some way. So let's dive in. I've got 6 things for you here today. And if you have any questions, if you have any thoughts, please share them with me. If you don't agree with me, share that with me, because I'd love to hear. Instagram, I'll try to post back and see your comments or questions as well. So let's dive into the first thing that really jumped out as me as a huge, just like neon flashing reminder, was to double down on our email list and to double down on that list building. And I know this is something we have all heard 1,000 times. I know if you are an entrepreneur or business owner, if you're in the marketing space, this is something I'm sure you're almost sick of hearing about. And yet I think many of us need maybe a gentle reminder that this is something that we could all focus a little bit more attention on. So, and again, this is something I'm sure most of you have heard, but I think it is worth repeating. We don't own our social media accounts. We don't own our Facebook account. We don't own our Instagram account, Twitter, et cetera, et cetera. We don't own them. We are borrowing the space. It's like going into a coffee shop to meet some people. We are borrowing the space to be on, which is mostly free and lovely, very lovely, but we don't control, we don't own this. So we can't control what happens with the platform. We can't control if there's a change made, and it's really not up to us. Versus our email list and our website, those are two things that we own and we can control. So with our email list, this is something we have a direct control over. I can write an email to my list, to the people I want to connect with, and I can decide that they're all going to get the email. Versus I can post something on social media, and it's not up to me how many people it's going to be shown to. It could be shown to one person. That's not up to me. So I think this is just a great reminder to just revisit that email list growth and building, not to be crazy about it, not to burn ourselves out with this, but just to remember that our email lists are important, and it's such a beautiful way for all of us to build those connections and relationships with our people. And I think sometimes some of us are being maybe not the greatest friends to our email list. We'll grow it, and then we kind of forget about it and we neglect it and we don't put a whole lot of attention or thought into it. So I think it's just a great reminder for all of us to double down on our email list. And same with our website. I mean, I know for me, it was a great reminder to take a look at my website and make sure that my website was optimized, see what changes I want to make. I'm making a few changes I'm in the process of right now, because it forced me to take a look at the other platform I own, which is my website, and to make those changes there. So I think this is just an invitation for all of us to take a look at that online real estate we all own and to see how we can maximize those platforms versus platforms someone else owns. Hey, Amelie, and who else do we have there? Hey, feel free, anyone who has any questions, anyone who has any thoughts, agreements, disagreements, let me know. All right, let's jump down to my next takeaway from the Facebook freakout. So number 2 here is to build relationships, not likes. I think this is an important one. I think it's really tempting for all of us to get caught up in wanting to get as many likes as possible. I get it. It feels really good. It can feel really great. But I think what some of these Facebook changes are helping me to remember is that it's really so much more about those relationships we're building, those connections we're making. If we take an actual look at what Zuckerberg says in his message, if we take a look at the post he made, he's actually talking about the importance of relationship and importance of connection. So I think in a way, if we really want to boil it down, Zuckerberg's kind of schooling all of us with a business tip that's saying, hey y'all, like step it up, figure out how to connect and to build those relationships. At least that's the way I'm choosing to look at this. So I think this is just a great reminder that it really is about those relationships so much more than it is about getting those likes. And I know there are people out there who want to game the system and they want to buy likes, and there are bots that will give you likes. And I will tell you, I am not a social media expert, but I don't even know how much that's going to help anyone anymore. I don't think that's so much what is being given preference in the feed right now. But just from a business standpoint, when we build true relationships, that is what is going to grow our business in such a more, not just an authentic way and not just with integrity, but it's also going to grow it faster than having a whole bunch of likes. Having a like is a very passive action versus taking the time to one person at a time get to know them and to engage with them. And I know I've said this before, but there are so many people who have massive followings who are struggling, and say that there aren't people with great businesses as well, but just as an example, and there are plenty of people who have a much smaller following who are getting less likes, and they have really successful, really well thought out businesses that are thriving and continuing to grow. So just a reminder there, I think this is just on a human level, but just also from a business perspective, let's focus on the relationships and not on the likes. For me, this is a core business belief and value of mine anyway, but I think Facebook is giving us a nice reminder of that. I think this will also help with our Facebook and our Instagram feeds. All right, let's jump into the next one. All right, y'all might not like this one, but I think this one is important. And that is that it's not personal, it's business. So Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of these are businesses. I think because they're social and they're fun to be on, it is easy to forget that they are businesses. And they're businesses run by really smart, intelligent, hard-working individuals, business owners who, in order to keep their business afloat and in order to grow their business, have to generate revenue. That is just the way it is. And I think a lot of us forget that. And I think when we can look to these changes and look to these platforms from this perspective, it can help us flip the way maybe we're feeling about certain changes. And I think it can also help us to understand what might help us use the platforms better. So I think essentially right now, many of us, or what's happened is if we think about Facebook or Instagram, it's sort of like someone opened up a coffee shop that was free, and like thousands of people flooded this little tiny coffee shop because all of their favorite people were there, and they never bought a cup of coffee, they never bought a pastry, and they all just camped out at the tables. But the tables have like 3 chairs, but there's like 20 person to a table. It got really crowded, and the coffee shop owner's like, I'm not making any money and my store is really full. If that were our business, what we do, we'd want to make some changes so that we could generate some revenue and not have people overcrowding our space. And that's kind of what happens with, is what has happened with Facebook. A bunch of people have come in, crowded out the space, not purchased anything, and it's watering down the experience. It's watering down the customer experience, because just think, if you walk into a crowded coffee shop like that, you're like, get me out of here. And the company isn't making the revenue they want to. And Facebook very much generates their revenue from ads, and not just from ads from people like you and me who are running small businesses, but from really big companies like Coca-Cola. And if the people who are using Facebook are unhappy and they're hopping off and they're not engaging, the people who are spending a whole lot of money on ads are not going to get the results they want. They're not going to be happy. They're going to pull back on their ad spend, and that's going to affect Facebook or anywhere else's, any other platform's bottom line. It's kind of like that coffee shop. If no one's buying, if no one's sticking around, no one's happy, and everyone's starting to leave and no one's buying coffee, the place is going to go out of business. A bit of an analogy there, but I think just a way to think about Facebook with some of these changes. It's business owners thinking about the user experience and thinking about their business and their bottom line. And so for them to continue to offer this as a mostly free platform and for them to continue to get ad revenue, they have to have people use the platform, engage with the platform, stay on the platform, and enjoy using the platform. And I think this just, for me at least, it helps me to get a little less annoyed when I see these changes, because I realize it's just a business decision that some smart business owners have made. And who am I to get pissy about it? Because the truth is, I don't love when people want my services for free. I'm sure you don't either. And so it's the same for Facebook. We're not paying to play, not that you have to, but if we're not paying to play, it's really not on us to get pissy or upset about it. So I think a bit of a perspective flip there, but also just maybe another lens to look through it, because I think when we look at it this way, we can also think, okay, so if this is the case, in order for Facebook or Instagram or whatever it is to do well and to generate revenue, they need to do certain things that essentially make them look good to their investors. How can I help them look good? Because if I do that, it's going to be a symbiotic relationship, and that's going to help me use the platform better. Is this making sense to everyone? Let's see, do we have any questions here? No questions. Any questions? Is this making sense? All right, I don't see any questions. I'm going to hop on to my next thought here. And this was one that I had to give myself a little bit of an ass kicking on, and that is to embrace the platform, we're on. So I think this just, again, goes what we were just speaking about, thinking about this from the perspective of these are businesses that own these platforms versus this is social, or this is just a way to connect with people, or versus thinking about like, hey, this isn't fair. And to look at these platforms, each platform is meant to be used in a specific way. And I think when we can take ourselves out of that this isn't fair mindset and use platforms the way they're meant to be used, we can benefit most from them. I think a lot of us want to use them just the way that feels good to us, or we want to ignore some of these things that are being rolled out, and then it ends up kind of hitting us back in the face, and then we get frustrated about it. So I think when we can look at the platforms and get curious about how they're meant to be used, we can find some really great clues, and those clues can help us to utilize and to use the platforms better. So what I mean by this, for example, on Instagram, those of you on Instagram, when you scroll through your feed, you'll notice that something new just rolled out, that if you hover over a picture for a couple seconds, the comment bar will pop up. Now, this is something new. If you're paying attention and you're thinking about embracing the platform, this is a clue, and this is a clue to me that says, oh, Instagram wants me to comment more. Instagram wants people to comment more. This makes business sense because when we comment, we're engaging, we're staying on the platform longer, we're not acting passively, we're engaged. So this makes complete sense from a business perspective if they're trying to show people are online to get those ads. And it helps me then to think, okay, so not trying to game the system, anything weird like that, but maybe this is something that's important. This is a clue. This is what Instagram wants me to do. It wants me to get some more comments. I think another clue that we might see is that on Facebook and on Instagram, we keep seeing the lives pop up on the top of our screen. We get notified when someone goes live, like I'm going live right now, and we're seeing this on both of the platforms. So that might be a clue that this is the way that the platform is meant to be used. This is the way that they want the platform to be used. Just another clue there. Same with Instagram stories. Just these new things. If we pay attention to some of the new things that are being rolled out, that can help us just figure out how the platform is really meant to be used. If we take a look even at Zuckerberg's message, he's talking about the engagement and having more friends and family in front of each other versus businesses and brands. So that might give us the clue that creating content that's a little more engaging, that's a little more real, that's a little more human to human might be a way to use the platform better. I know for me personally, I've noticed on Instagram when I share a post, I just shared a post of me and my guy the other day, not business related at all. You can see on your stats, if you have a business account, you can see how many people your post has been put out to. That got put out to about double the amount of people than a really heartfelt post I wrote that was more business related, more related to my work. And I think that's because it was a picture of me and my guy, and Facebook algorithm, computer bots are super smart. They can tell what it is. It was a picture of me. It was more about relationship. It was more about human interaction. It was more of that connection, and it generated more comments because it was a more person-to-person conversation versus here's some thoughts that are related to my business. So I think if we just take a look at those clues, we can actually get some really great insights. And again, not about gaming the system, but just some insights into how to use these platforms so they work for us a little bit better. All right, let's pull up the next one. If you have a question, let me know. All right, so got two more for you. So the next one is not based on any fancy stats or anything like that, but this is based purely on what I'm noticing with my own feed. And that is, it seems that Facebook groups are getting a bump. And I say this because if you notice when you go on Facebook now, at least for me, when I go into my feed, Facebook groups that I'm a part of are suddenly popping up everywhere. And my own Facebook group, it just seems like there's a little more engagement, like things are getting just a little bit more of a boost. So what this means for all of us is maybe this is something to think about. Now, I would never say that a Facebook group is something anyone needs to do for their business. I think every business is so different. Facebook groups are definitely not right for everyone. They are an investment of time and energy. I think you need to be ready to hold the space and have the time to invest into putting it into a group. This is not like a silver bullet, quick fix type of solution I'm offering, but this is something that I'm noticing. So I do think if you've been playing with the idea of starting a Facebook group, if you've been thinking about maybe starting a Facebook group, this might be an opportune time to dip your toes into that water. It does seem like they're getting a little bit of a boost, and it makes sense if we take a look at Zuckerberg's message. He's talking in there even about Facebook groups, and he's talking about, I think he mentioned sports and how people around sports and television shows and groups will create conversation. So it makes sense he's mentioned it. And if we think about a group is a community. A group is a place that we hang out online and we spend more time. So from a business perspective for Facebook, it makes sense. If we hang out in a group, we're hanging out online, Facebook can show their investors people are hanging out online longer. So again, this is not based on any sort of stat that I've seen. I can't say this is absolutely the truth, but this is what I'm noticing, so just something to think about. If you already have a Facebook group, maybe it's an opportunity to put a little more TLC into that group because it does seem like that is getting some preference online. Again, not about gaming the system here, but just some things I'm noticing and maybe some ways to look at all of this and see how we can move with it instead of fight against the changes. And the last thought I have for you here, and let me know, y'all, let me know if this is making sense. And hey, I see a couple more people over on Instagram with us live. Hello. So let me know if this is making sense. Let me know if you have any questions. Agree on the group. Melody says, yes, thank you. Yeah, interesting. Let me know if you're seeing that in your feed as well, because I know it's definitely the case for me. So if anyone else is noticing this, it'd be kind of interesting to see, because I think that would give us just a little more insight into what's happening, not just for me personally, but for all of us as a user experience. So the last thought I have for you as a way maybe to embrace some of these changes is to consider going live. So what I'm doing right now. And Melody says, yes, definitely. Awesome. Very awesome and very good to know. Just good to know that it's not just me. And let's see, we've got another thought here. Get them in the coffee shop. Oh, attract, benefit, keep them entertained, give them value, count. How many are real customers? Connect, make it personal, why they should buy. Hell yes, absolutely. I couldn't agree with that more. Talking about the coffee shop metaphor I just used, and I absolutely agree. And I think that goes a little bit to what I want to close with, but I'll jump ahead. I think what you're saying is, yes, it's about, yes, attracting them, getting them into the coffee shop, absolutely. And then I think so much of it is what you're saying. It's about keeping them entertained, which is building that real connection and that relationship, which I think is just something a lot of us forget about, but that is the basis, I think, of so much business, is building those relationships, offering some value off, being of service. And connect, yes, you say make it personal, why they should buy. Abso-freaking-lutely. Yes, I love that. Awesome. Anyone else has any comments? Let me know. And I'm going to jump into the last thought I have for you, the last thing that I have gleaned from some of these changes and just my experience on Facebook with the Facebook freakout, and maybe just a way to adapt and roll with it. And that is to go live. So I think we've probably all heard this quite a bit, but what I am noticing again is, and this might just be me, so I'd be really interested to hear from all of you, what I'm noticing is that live video seems to be giving us a bit of a boost. And again, it's not about gaming the system, but what we were talking about earlier was embracing the platforms and using them the way that it seems like the platform wants to be used. And live is getting all sorts of preferential treatment as far as where it's placed on our platform screens. And when I go live, I notice that it seems to give a boost. And if you take a look at what Zuckerberg had to say in his message, he also talks in there about, again, live video and just the connection that creates. And if we think about this from a business perspective for Zuckerberg, when we're live, we're having a conversation. We are interacting as humans. This is an engagement versus passively scrolling through the platform, passively like just scrolling while we're walking to the bathroom. We're engaged here. We're having a conversation. We're talking back and forth. And so for a business perspective, for Facebook, that for them keeps people on the platform longer. It keeps people engaged. It makes people happier. It's building those relationships. That's great for Facebook and for them being able to generate that ad revenue. For us, because I don't want this to be just about gaming the system or anything like that. For us, I happen to think live video, yes, it's freaking scary. I'm sweating a little bit here. It makes me nervous, but I think it is one of the greatest new pieces of technology that we have, because it gives us such a great way to authentically connect with people and to share our work and to share our thoughts. And we're able to cut through that no like trust factor so much faster. We're able to build those relationships in such a more authentic way, because when we're live, we can't hide. I can't hide anything. You all can see me right now. You can see my apartment. You can see that I'm in New York City and there's a weird building behind me. You can see my books. There's nothing to hide. I can't hit stop and re-record and edit anything out. And I know that freaks some of us out, but it's such a more real connection. It's such a more real experience. And yes, it'd be awesome if we could talk back and forth, not just on messaging, outside of being able to invite someone in, but it's the closest thing we have to it. So I think it's actually outside of what it does for Facebook or Instagram and how it can help us utilize the platform. I think it's a really beautiful way for all of us to connect a little bit more with our audience, with our people, with our ideal customers, with whatever you want to call it, with your tribe. I think it's just really wonderful, and I can't speak enough to it, but I do think that is a way that we can embrace some of these changes, is to break through those nerves and go live. And I'll say, for those of you who are in my Facebook group, I've offered this to you before, if you want to go live for the first time, maybe not on your page, maybe not on Instagram where it's less scary, you are welcome to hop on live in my group. Until the group gets too big and until it gets too cluttered, you're welcome to hop on live, say hello, introduce yourself. We had Katie do that the other day. Introduce yourself, tell us what you do, give us your elevator pitch. I'd love for you to have the group as a safe space to practice that and to go live for the first time. I had the luxury to do that in Michelle Lewis's group, who's one of my mentors, and it made such a big difference. So absolutely have at that. But I do think that's just another lesson and reminder that I'm taking away from some of these changes, is to embrace the live videos, scary as it may be, to embrace it and to go live. Hold on, I see a few comments here. Oh, thank you. Melody says I'm doing great. Thank you. I appreciate that very much, because, oh my gosh, it can get nervy. She is doing well. Authenticity. Oh, thank you. She is showing us that she knows her stuff. Her credibility is super high. You guys, you're going to make me cry. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Authenticity is very important to me. So is integrity. So I can't tell you how much that means to me. I love watching live videos. So it makes sense why we should do more of them. Yes, I will say I enjoy them a lot more now. They still make me very nervous, but I enjoy watching them. I think this is a conversation we're having. So I would love to invite all of you, instead of freaking out about the Facebook changes, instead of getting stuck in the annoyance or the frustration or the complaining or the it's not fairness of maybe what's happening on Facebook, because I'll say most of the time when we're saying something's not fair, it's a really great reminder that we need to check ourselves. And I had to check myself, but I would love to invite you to use this as a great kick in the butt to go live a little bit more, to jump into the live pool, because it's really a great way for all of us to build that know, like, and trust factor. And that's what it's all about, building those relationships one person at a time. So those are my 6 lessons there for you all. And I'm just going to say, as a reminder, let's not try to game the system. I don't think any of this is about trying to game the system. I don't think it's about trying to buy likes or figure out what we can do to boost things. But instead, I think all of these changes in Facebook and what Zuckerberg's put out, I honestly think this is an opportunity for all of us to, again, just take a step back and look at some of those business basics, some of those foundational pieces of our business, and remember the importance of connection, remember the importance of serving, remember the importance of building relationships, because the truth is these platforms might change, the way in which we use them might change, but the one thing that isn't going to change is all of our human need to connect. That is something we're wired to have. Humans want to connect, and that's not going to go away. And the other thing that's not going to go away is people having problems that need to be solved. That's not going away. So if we can find ways to connect, and if we can find ways to help people and solve their problems, it's going to be just fine whatever platform we're on, whatever algorithm changes or things that get rolled out. And I think if we can look at these changes through that lens, it can help us all maybe cool down and step back from the freak out a little bit. So those are my thoughts. Do we have any other questions or comments here? Let's see, no more. Any other? Oh, we've got Trenton, really sweet presentation, Kim. Oh, thank you so much, Trenton. That means the world to me. I super appreciate that. And I appreciate all of you listening today. I know that, I'm not a social media expert, that I'm mindset and business coach. So social media is just one of the tools I use, but I probably have a slightly different perspective on this than someone who is an expert, but I hope all of you found this valuable. I hope this will offer you a slightly different perspective and just some things to think about and ways to use all of these platforms. And I'm so grateful to have all of you here today. It's been lovely and wonderful. You all are amazing. You make it possible for me to do my work, so thank you. I'm wishing you all a lovely, lovely Friday and weekend, and I'm wishing you your version of success. And I will be back next Friday with another topic for all of you. And if you're watching this on the replay, please feel free to leave me a message. Just make sure you tag me because I might not see it otherwise. And that is, oh, we've got one more comment. That is a great foundation because we care about others. Really great, Kim. Thank you so much. It's true, though. I mean, I think if you're watching me and if you're in my world, most of us are, yes, we're entrepreneurs. Yes, we're business owners. Yes, we, in order to have a business, need to generate revenue. But I don't think any of us got into the business of being in business because we don't care. And I think most of us care deeply about our work and we care deeply about helping other people. And that's why we do what we do. Otherwise, let's be honest, y'all, there are a lot of easier ways to make money. So whether you're an artist or a coach or an entrepreneur who has a heart-centered business, if we're doing this, it's because we care. And so thank you for saying that, because I think that is absolutely the truth. And I think that's a foundational piece for all of us to remember, because it's so easy to lose sight of that when we get sometimes into the panicky pieces of trying to build our business or trying to get our artwork out there and trying to get noticed and visible. I think it's really easy to lose sight of that. So thank you for making that comment, because I think that's, for me too, that's a great reminder. All right, so any other comments? And if not, I'm gonna hop off. I'm gonna prep for my next coaching client. And I hope you all have the most beautiful weekend. Wishing you all so much love. Bye.